Chelsea, Wolves, Manchester United, Liverpool all moved through to the FA Cup quarter-finals, and we now know, Simon, it lines up like this. Manchester City will play Newcastle. Chelsea will face Leicester. Wolves will face Coventry. Manchester United take on Liverpool.
Yep.
Wowzer.
Newcastle can't catch a break, can they?
No, they can't. They've got to go to City. Chelsea and Manchester United struck late to overcome Leeds 3-2 and Nottingham Forest 1-0 respectively. They got there, but they got there late. But they got there, as Ten Hag, but first Pochettino reflected afterwards.
We needed this result. Wasn't a great performance. Of course, big credit to Leeds because it's a team that's full of confidence. Even when you concede, after a few minutes, the character that we show after this situation, I think it's a thing to learn from the team. And of course, on the end, so happy because I think we avoid extra time and we score on the end and we are on the quarterfinal. I think was our objective.
Although we created very good chances, but also we allowed them some counters. And there was also second half, first 5 minutes. But after that, we took completely, I think, the control in the game. And we were more calm and composed. And as I say, we took the control and we created the chances. And we didn't allow them come into the counter-attack. So yeah, I'm very pleased with second half especially. And I'm most of all very pleased with the spirit from the team. The passion and desire they showed. And that must be always the standard.
So now we know. Ten Hag and Manchester United stay home to Liverpool. I said it in the introduction, Simon, keen to get your take on this. Who has this become a bigger trophy for this season? Ten Hag, Pochettino or Eddie Howe?
Well, each one of them has their own jeopardy in it, doesn't they? I mean, if you listen to Newcastle fans yesterday, there's no dissatisfaction with Eddie Howe and there's no immediacy to any challenges for him. So if you believe what certain sections of the media are suggesting is that he's going to be under threat for his job, then winning an FA Cup, albeit he's got a remarkably difficult task. I mean, we had a caller on yesterday saying Newcastle have had all their cup draws away, and here they have another one away.
That's right.
Against arguably the best team in Europe right now. So that makes it incredibly difficult for them. Pochettino, well, you know, what was he described as yesterday? A trophy dodger. You know, people will constantly make that accusation that he's a bridesmaid. I'm one of those, that he won't be. I can see him winning cups, but I don't see him winning Premier Leagues, which ultimately is the raison d'etre of Chelsea, I suspect, under this new ownership model at some point sooner rather than later.
Right.
And then you got Manchester United with a new influence, not owner, a new influence, a significant shareholder that's been assigned in the eyes of the media as being entirely responsible for the football operation, that looks like he's going to cut a swathe through what's gone before. So all of them have individual jeopardy and individual. I don't know who has a more important task in hand in front of them of winning the FA Cup. Each one of them has great value. You could make a case for each one of them having a real necessity to win this tournament.
Maybe Ten Hag should watch out. We remember what happened to his fellow countryman Louis van Gaal.
Yeah,
win the FA Cup final
and got binned the next day.
Then you're out.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. I mean, there's no indication that Jim Radcliffe is not going to do anything sensible besides look at not do anything that's not sensible. And if he believes Ten Hag's the right way forward, he'll make his decision based upon what he sees rather than what other people suggest he should see. Look, I think the one that probably will serve to get the most benefit from it is probably Chelsea. Because you've got this underlying narrative of the owners are clueless. They've wasted the enormous amounts of money. They've got financial fair play obligations about to come down on them on like a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
They've got a group of players that aren't functioning at a high level. And they've got Pochettino that people are questioning. I mean, I saw the interview that he did with Laura on ITV, and it was like an excitable little bunny, wasn't he? Desperate to convey to the world a certain viewpoint, and it wasn't like listening to a Premier League manager. Some might say it's refreshing that he was quite candid and low-key and communicative. Others might say, I'm not quite sure.
That's a little bit odd.
What you were all about in that interview.
Yeah.
You seem like a very nice bloke, and I'm not sure that Premier League managers need to be nice blokes. They need to be strong leaders. Maybe I'm just being a little overcritical, and maybe it's just the natural exuberance of having won a game and the feeling that after losing a cup final, he saw his side bounce back. Because playing Leeds in an FA Cup game where they've got nothing to lose and they're in a rich vein of form, Leeds, full of confidence, is a difficult task and would have been a difficult task for anybody.
I think Mauricio is like that, though, Simon, having met him on numerous occasions, way back when he went to Southampton under Cortese. He's full of goodwill, bonhomie. He's great, but make no mistake, when push comes to shove...
There's a steal there.
There's a steal there. I mean, nobody plays for Argentina in defence if they don't have a bit about them. And he did exactly that. Simon, I don't know about you. Last night, I saw Chelsea on Sunday, obviously, at the Cup final, so that means I saw Liverpool recently as well. So I kind of channel hopped last night, and I was quite happy to do so. I was taking in a bit of Forest, Manchester United, and then I took in a bit of Chelsea, Leeds, and then I was taking in a bit of... I saw a bit of Wolves as well along the way, so I was taking in the lot. But... Gary O'Neill, although Wolves get through, and well done to you, Gary, not happy that the FA Cup has been shunted to that midweek slot. This was Gary.
In my opinion, this game is so big, it should be played on a Saturday at 3 o'clock where you've had a week to prepare and you can pick your strongest team without concerns of how people are after a game 48 hours ago or whatever it was. So I've just always been used to it being on a Saturday. It's a massive game for every club involved in it. Once you're winning to get to the quarterfinal, it's a huge game. And then to move our first game of the week to the Sunday and push it even closer. I mean, yeah, it's a real tough week for them. 3 games in 6 days is a real tough week. But it just feels like with where we are and the momentum that we've created, that every game is so big. So to have to choose which one you put importance on, I think is crazy. I'm sure we could have found room to play it at the weekend.
You see, the traditionalists, Simon, the purists will go, it's the FA Cup, 3 o'clock on a Saturday, that's the only time for it. I disagree. Last night on social media, not that social media is a barometer that we take much notice of, but I did last night, all these games and the cast members within the games, all trending throughout the UK. So it is the focus of major attention last night, the FA Cup.
Of course. Just out of curiosity, why would it have been moved to a midweek game? Because if you look at the principles
fixture congestion,
in favour of whom? In favour of the Premier League, in favour of the European competitions, and so I do quite like his arguments in terms of the FA Cup attaching priority, because once upon a time the priority was the FA Cup alongside the league, and you didn't move the scheduling to accommodate the fixture congestion of the Premier League. So it tells you where the FA Cup may feature. The fact that it still operates with a great level of interest, the fact that it still gets and garners interest, football does that anyway. Whatever you put on with football related content, you'll find people interested and intrigued by it.
Yeah.
The fact is that whilst I like the idea of the traditional values of the FA Cup, I also understand the parameters of moving it around to accommodate broadcast schedules, because it's ultimately broadcasters that feature in the economics of the football world, and the Premier League is now the tail that wags the dog.
Yeah. So
I agree with Gary, but I also he has to understand that the scheduling that these guys complain about repeatedly and endlessly creates these situations. And if it weren't this that they found a solution to, there'd be some other reasons why a football manager would say, I'm not particularly happy with that. The bottom line is you've played an FA Cup tie. I don't understand. I don't know the question he was responding to, but you've just won the cup tie. I don't know what the necessity is to criticise the scheduling about it.
No, I agree with you. What we do see are the true fans on a night like last night. Like we saw the night before, all the Newcastle fans at Blackburn. As we saw last night, the huge Leeds contingent at Stamford Bridge. These guys will travel. These supporters will travel no matter what.
Absolutely.
And they deserve to be commended for that.
Well, that's the uniqueness of English football. I don't think it's mirrored anywhere in any other league. We talk about, we are self-congratulatory about our own league, but I do think it's fair to say that, when you see the continental sides playing games, there tends to be less representation of away support and less value in terms of the travelling requirements. That our fans in this country are unique. That's why I'm always always suggesting that English fans are the best at what they do. There is an element of English fans that are not the best, but on the whole, when you see these fans supporting their teams and you see how much a football club means to people. I mean, I was in a privileged position to own a football club, and it always staggered me, even though I was a fan of the football club, when I engaged with the fans, how much of their lives were dominated and how much their football club meant to them. And it kind of humbles you in respect of your responsibility and obligations towards the football club. Sometimes I wish the players would get that memo and understand the commitment and the endeavour and the cost and the support and the sacrifices. And it's all through choice. I get that.
Do the players not get the memo?
I don't think sometimes they do. I'm not suggesting that's you can just put all players in a homogenous group and categorise them all in the same way. But sometimes when they don't fancy it on a wet and windy afternoon, or
But
wet and
the
windy,
owners do.
Well, I'm not about the owners. I'm talking about the fans.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the fans and their preparedness to travel across the country. They're the ones that have to schlep up and down the country and sit on trains and get back at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and put out money that ultimately the players would not even notice dropping out of their pocket on the way to the training ground.
Yeah.
To buy tickets and travel somewhere. And I think all of those things that's why fans are important. That's why fans need to be part of the equation. But you have to balance that with over-egging the pudding about how important fans are.
So, the FA Cup, not at 3 o'clock on a Saturday. Last night, so many top ties at different times. But do they give it a different feel, or does it diminish the FA Cup as a tournament?
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the TalkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. TalkSPORT.